Just how did Tyler Queen's surgery go?
It went well. I expect him to recover fully and be back hopefully by fall camp.
Any more decisions on the satellite camps and where and how many?
No, not any final decisions, but we will do very few. We're wanting, like I said before, to get get guys to our campus. I think that's very important. At the same time, I want my coaches around our players too. Be there at the office and not just travel the world.
Do you think you'll be in the minority with that, doing less?
I'm going to do what's best for Auburn, and that's really the only way that I'm looking at it.
The last two quarterback battles you've had, you've actually named them. With Clemson as the opener, would you consider not naming a quarterback and keeping it a mystery going into that game?
No, we're going to name somebody. Hopefully sooner rather than later once we start fall camp, but we won't name somebody until we're 100% for sure.
To that point, though, Gus, if nobody really steps forward a big margin, could you play more than one quarterback?
No, we really want to have a starter, and we'll have ways. We'll put our guys in situations for somebody to step up. Nick Marshall a few years ago, it was pretty equal for the first 2 or 3 weeks, and then we decided to go live one time, and then he won the job that day. Now, hopefully, we won't have to get to a point and have our quarterbacks go live in fall camp. That's not the plan, but we'll make sure that we evaluate them, and then the best guy that gives us the best chance of winning will be our starter.
For the legal process for the 4 players who have stopped, are you going to let the legal process play out before deciding on a punishment?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment anymore on that.
There's been a lot of talk recently about a commissioner overseeing the Power 5. I'm sure you've talked about it with colleagues. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm pretty well pleased with SEC and Commissioner Sankey. I think he's the best of the business, so I'm happy the way it is.
You don't think there should be someone overseeing the Power 5, make sure everything's on a level playing field as we move forward?
I feel good about the way it is.
Guess I asked you after the spring game immediately, but your friend Hugh Freeze is going to bring up again in Destin a change to the spring game rules, playing somebody else, a smaller division opponent, just to give us a better look at what I got, what we all have. Is that something you think could gain traction at the end of the month?
I think each coach has a different look, a different viewpoint and opinion. I think each school is different, Auburn's different. We have a lot of tradition with our spring game. I know our fans really look forward to it. I know our players do too, and our coaches. So, I like the way that it is. I think it's something that's important to our fans and something important to our players.
Came out today that the NCAA decided that the video that's going to be allowed in the box and at halftime is going to be broadcast footage, not coaches' film, and I guess that caught a lot of people by surprise. Were you aware of that previously, that it was going to be broadcast, and what's your reaction that it's not game footage and coaches' film?
Yeah, I was aware of it, and I think that's going to be one of those conversations that's talked about the next couple of years with the technology and where it's going, and what is going to be the plan moving forward in college football.
What, for broadcast footage at halftime, what can a defensive backs coach gain? Because most of their players are out of frame, or receivers coach doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think it's a learning process. I think, at the end of the year, I think everybody have a better grip on it.
You went to Arkansas State when Javon Robinson signed, but how heavily were you involved with his recruiting process when you were still at Auburn as offensive coordinator? What do you remember about how he handled it coming from Memphis?
Yeah, well, I was there when we recruited him. We thought he was a very good running back coming out. And of course, when I left is when, he came, I guess, on campus and declared ineligible and all that. And so when I came back as head coach, he was available and I already had a relationship with him, and he was already familiar with the offense and what we planned on doing. And so, we signed him again. He had a very good second half of last year. I think the spring was really good for him, just learning and getting a better understanding of the total offense with the checkdowns and the protections and everything that does it. But I think he's in a good spot.
How much time have you spent just looking at Clemson film and starting to prepare for them?
Not me personally as yet, but as we get in the summer, we'll definitely take a look at them. We're pretty familiar with them anyway, with what they do offensively and what they do defensively. They're very talented, but we'll get in the summer and we'll look at our first 3 or 4 opponents, and most college coaches do that during the summer also.
Do you maybe reach out to Chad Morris to get some info?
Like I said, we're pretty familiar with each other. We played each other in the past. They run a similar offense to what we do. Defensively, they got a very good defense coordinator and does does a very good job. They got good players.
And the limited info you know about them, but obviously you've seen a lot from last season. Deshaun Watson, what kind of player is he in the threat?
He's special. He's an elite player. He's either one of the best or the best player in college football. And I think everybody saw that in the national championship game.
Gus Ford's led you in tackles 2 years in a row. I mean, how much better do you think he can be his senior season?
Yeah, he's a lot more confident. There's nothing like experience. And he did lead us in tackles the last 2 years. He's still learning, or was still learning the defensive side of the football. And we moved him up close to the line of scrimmage in nickel position. And he really seemed real natural with that. But he's got a lot of ability. He's a very good kick returner, too. So he's one of our leaders.
A lot was made yesterday, the report about the time demands on athletes, and Commissioner Sankey's spoken about this. It's been an issue that all the power conferences are addressing. The student athletes took part in the survey for the NCAA, basically came away saying they wanted more time away in the off season, and coaches overwhelmingly were not in favor of that. Where do you kind of stand on the time demands and time in the off season and how much they have to do?
Yeah, well, I'd say, as long as it's equal across college football, and of course me personally, I think it's good the way it is, but, that's a thing that'll be talked about, and whatever's best for the student athletes moving forward, I'm sure will be the consensus.
Because there was a CBS article about, players being able to enter the draft, and if they're not picked, be able to come back to school. Is that something that you think could either gain traction or you'd like to see?
That's the first I heard about that, so that's kind of new to me. I'd have to have time to think about that and think through all the different scenarios.
Anything you're looking forward to speaking about at SEC spring meetings this year?
Nothing in particular. There's always good conversation talking about the future in our conference with some topics, but me personally, nothing, on hand.
I guess you always talk about information you have about the quarterback position. We have good information about Jeremy and Sean. What kind of information do you have about John Franklin after the spring, and how he'll react to a full stadium if he earns that job?
Yeah, he is a talented young man. He's very fast, and he wants to be good. I think that's important. He's still learning the offense, but the fact that he's very coachable, wants to be good, he's right in the middle of the thing right now.
How would you compare, say, even last year or 2 years ago to how hands-on you were with John Franklin III this past spring than maybe some previous quarterbacks that have come in?
In the spring, I was pretty hands-on with the entire offense, kind of back to what I used to do in the past. And so just trying to get a really good feel for him, and at the same time, just make sure that I'm a part of the everyday function with the offense.
Was that something you took a step back from a little bit last season and depended on others?
Well, like I said, I was a little bit more of a head coach, and I'm going to be a lot more hands-on. That's nothing to say negative against any of our coaches. We have some excellent coaches. We had some excellent coaches last year. It's just me personally. I feel more comfortable doing that.
You spoke a lot last year about virtual reality and your use of that. And really didn't follow during the season. You said after the a few weeks, we have a better idea. After the season, how helpful or not helpful was it, especially with changes in quarterback?
Yeah, I think the big thing is during the off season and during the summer months, it is very valuable, and it's very valuable for recruiting, and glad we have it. And I think it's something that really can evolve, more and more in the future when the technology even gets better.
John had said he hadn't used it yet, and he was planning to use it. John Franklin had said he hadn't used it yet, was going to use it in the off season. But can you give a little bit of a bullet points of some of the things that he works on with that, or plans to work on with that this off season?
Yeah, it's just something that he can go in on his own in the summer, on his own time, and look at different plays and different coverages and all that.
When you mentioned recruiting, I know other coaches take that technology on the road with them, and they'll load stuff in there that's not necessarily practice footage. It'll be like a meeting room or something on campus that they can look at in VR. Do you guys do anything like that with recruiting?
Off campus?
Yeah.
No, not off campus with coaches.
What about on campus with the?
Oh yeah, on campus. The technology, you always want to use that and show what you have to offer.
What are you showing them exactly? Just stuff from practice?
I'm not telling. It's recruiting now. Come on, you can't tell all the secrets.
Okay.
There's just been a lot of discussion about, obviously, the various construction projects on campus with athletics, between the North End Zone project, becoming the locker room and all that stuff, and also a separate football building. And I know there's a balance of priorities there and costs there. Which would you like to see done first if we're up to you?
Well, I think right now, if you look at our overall facilities, we're right there. We got a great dorm, we got a great place to eat, great indoor. I know there's talk about expanding our stadium, and that'll happen, in the near future.
But a separate building is not a
I feel pretty good about our building right now.
You've said before you felt good about it, but are you anticipating all of the recruits that were supposed to be in this summer to be in, or are you still waiting on a couple?
Yes, we're planning all the signees to be there